This is Jerome Corsi. Today it is Wednesday. It's October 16th, 2024. I'm still having internet problems. We're getting a new modem. The modem died. So I'm kind of improvising here with a combination of cell phones and laptops. So excuse the fact that we're not as good of visuals we have been, but it'll have to do for today. You can find me on X at Corsi Jerome 1. And you can find me on Substack at JeromeCorsiPhD.substack.com. This is thetruthcentral.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. If you go to God's Five Stone, that's G-O-D, there's no apostrophe in the S, G-O-D-S altogether. You spell out the number 5, F-I-V-E, and then stones is plural, S-T-O-N-E-S, God's Five Stones.com. That's our 501c3 in which we're discussing and showing the results of finding algorithms in so many states. We reported yesterday, and if Chris will scroll down a little bit further, you can see that Pennsylvania has now been found to have an algorithm in its state Board of Election database, which is a cryptography code that allows non-existent voters to have records created for them, and allows those fake records to get a state ID. And that state ID can then be voted in the mail-in ballot, and it'll be counted because it can be certified. The number of the state ID on the fake ballot, a fake voter, will also be on the cover sheet of the mail-in ballot. The two will match and it will certify. So I don't know whether this is an intelligence agency scheme, whether the CIA has decided to run our elections, or it's a Democratic Party operative, or maybe a combination. But I do know what the Democratic Party is doing is it's moving from being just a communist party to being a treasonous communist party. Because everywhere I look, I see the Democratic Party is trying to steal elections. There's a story coming out of Georgia where evidently one of the local judges has ruled that this is an amazing story to me. Has ruled that the certifiers, the state supervisors who have to certify a county election, are not permitted to refuse to certify an election if they've detected fraud. Now, this is an outrageous story. What it means is essentially that you've got a ability here of a local judge to say that if you're a board of supervisors, you can't do your job, and you can't really say that there's been, what's the point of certifying an election if you can't say there's fraud? And so the Democrats want to be able to say we can cheat, and it has to be dealt with in court. Well, they know it after an election is certified. It's very difficult to challenge any of these elections, and because they're certified. So the whole point is to challenge fraud before the election is certified. And if you can't do that, if you're going to say we have to allow fraud, because we can't certify it until we get to court, why bother even certifying it? Just do a fraudulent election and say we don't care. And so what are you going to do about it? Take it to court? Well, the courts won't hear it because the election's been certified. So this Democratic Party is outright committing treason. And Chris, if we'll go to what we had yesterday, I want the American Thinker article from yesterday, which shows that this judge in Arizona, who is a federal district judge, has ruled that in 2022, Arizona, there were a county named Cochise County that refused to certify the election. Okay, so this was published in American Thinker, and I'm going to change the title of that article to be how one county can block certification of a fraudulent election, because that's really what the story is all about. So this judge, who's named Liberty, is a federal district judge. ruled against that guy there, who is the Secretary of State in Arizona. Oh, that's his name is Adrian Fontes. He's now found a criminal cheating scheme that he doesn't like. He loves, as long as the Democrats can win, he doesn't care how they win. This guy's an out and out, not only communist, he's committing treason, and he should be indicted and charged as a traitor. It's treasonous to say you do not want to have fair elections, and that's what this guy's all about. And we see this all across the country. So the point is, this judge ruled that this Adrian Fontes had passed a rule as Secretary of State that if a county did not report on time and certify the election, he could canvass the state and report the state as certified without that county. Well, what this judge ruled was that violates the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, because it disenfranchises the voters of Cochise County. So you not got a federal district judge who is upholding the right of the county board of supervisors to not certify an election that's fraudulent. So this is a federal district judge ruling, and that trumps a state court in Georgia. So this is an issue that's going to have to be again contested in Georgia and taken to the federal district courts for ruling to enforce Judge Liberty's ruling here on the Georgia local state court. This entire Georgia operation, this is the second article I have. This article was yesterday in American Thinker. We've got one today that I co-authored with Andrew Paquette. And if we'll show that article, that's, I think, another important article, because what it demonstrates is that a lot of these states, even when we find these algorithms, aren't taking it seriously. They don't really want to admit that there are cryptography schemes in their voter rolls. And again, this is an incredible problem, because these secretaries of states have the responsibility to make sure that their elections are held legitimately. And there could be civil and criminal liabilities if a Secretary of State doesn't investigate when there's a case brought forward of a problem. Now, we in Ohio demonstrated that there is an algorithm within the Ohio State Board of Election voter registration database. There's no longer a dispute. I mean, this is not like we made it up, or the algorithm isn't really there. It's a mathematical reality. It's like saying, you don't believe in the Pythagorean theorem. Well, I'm sorry, but if you want to study Euclidean geometry, you better understand the Pythagorean theorem. And if you want to be Secretary of State, you better understand algorithms in databases and understand what an algorithm is, and see how once it's been deciphered, once it's been found, you can't say it isn't there. Okay, so what the algorithm does, and this is a quote from the New York algorithm that was found from Paquette's paper on that. Dr. Paquette, who is really the genius who figured out these algorithms, were there. Paquette said the algorithmic sort order of the voters, in other words, the voters are given ID numbers in New York by a numerical scheme that is the part of the algorithm is used to create false voters in New York State. It creates the appearance of compliance with public disclosure laws while concealing attribute information. What's attribute information? It's information about that voter, like whether or not the person really exists. The attribute information is uniquely available to key holders, much as a card sheet has unique access to a straight flush. Okay, so in other words, the people who created these codes know where the false records are hidden back in the data. Concealing information in plain sight, as was done in New York's voter rolls, is called it's hard word to pronounce. Steganography, Steganography, stenographic. In combination with known fraudulent registration records, the spiral algorithm, which was found in New York, presents the possibility that has been inserted into the voter roll software or used to alter the New York State Board of Election voter roll database for nefarious reasons. The spiral can be used to identify fraudulent records quickly and covertly by repositioning records into key positions. Records of interest can then be extracted by software designed to recognize the algorithmically modified data structure. Okay, so evidence of this cryptographic algorithms in as many states, and we found them in Ohio, we found them in New York, New Jersey, we found them in Wisconsin, we found them in Pennsylvania. We found them in Hawaii. We're going to be reporting we found them also in Texas. So this constitutes negligence, potentially criminal negligence, if the state board officials were involved in creating these algorithms or their inaction preserves them for election fraud. So election fraud is distinguished from voter fraud. In other words, election fraud is a systematic effort to embed the voting rolls with ciphers to facilitate election theft. Voter fraud is an individual voter attempting to cheat. So Ohio State Secretary of State Frank LaRose, who's taking kudos today because courts are upholding his suggestion that these drop-off boxes for mail-in ballots are not for harvesting ballots. So you can't come and dump 1,000 ballots into it. You have to dump your own ballot into it. And if you're dumping it off for a friend or a relative or whatever, you've got to go into the Board of Election and get certified to do that. So he's happy about that. But he's done nothing about the algorithms. Frank LaRose has done absolutely nothing except to ignore them. And so what we found, however, is that there are still thousands of records in Ohio's voter registration database that are clones or that are faulty registrations because, for instance, the person registered before they were born. Now, how do you do that? That's pretty good trick if you can do that. And there's also ghost voters, which are just fabricated voters. So, these are things that have been found in the New York database, which has been the one that has been most heavily analyzed. Took 2 years to analyze that database. What we're doing is we're finding the algorithms, but we're not able to completely decipher them because there just isn't enough time or money to do so. At any rate, we're objecting strongly to the Secretary of State in Ohio's inaction because there are several reasons the Secretary is running liabilities, risks. First of all, misunderstanding of preventative measures, where the Secretary's stance demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of the importance of preventive measures in maintaining election security. Waiting for evidence of voter fraud before investigating system vulnerabilities is just like waiting for a security breach before fixing known weaknesses in a computer system. It's circular logic. If the algorithms could potentially be used for covertly manipulating voter data, any fraud resulting from such manipulation might be undetectable through normal means. Requiring proof of fraud before investigating the very system that could be hiding fraud is paradoxical. Ignoring systemic risks. The presence of unexplained complex algorithms in a critical system like voter registration databases is itself a significant concern, regardless of whether voter fraud has been detected. These algorithms introduce unnecessary complexity and opacity into a system that should be transparent and straightforward. Legal and ethical obligations. Election officials have a responsibility to ensure the integrity and transparency of all aspects of the election process, including voter registration systems. The presence of potentially manipulable algorithms should be enough to trigger an investigation as it relates directly to the security and integrity of the voting system. Public trust. The existence of these unexplained algorithms, once known, could erode public trust in the election system. Refusing to investigate without proof of fraud could further damage this trust. And proactive versus reactive approach. Frank LaRose, as Secretary of State in Ohio's stance is reactive rather than proactive. In measures of election security, integrity, proactive approach is necessary. And then again, we refer to this judge in Arizona, the district judge's decision in American Encore v. Adrian Fontes. That's a district court case in which it's now clear that one Secretary of State cannot certify an election if just one county rejects the election as having been fraudulent. So in Ohio, it would take one county to stop the certification because of the algorithms present in Ohio. And there is now compelling evidence that the algorithm is present in Ohio. Okay, so I think, again, these are serious issues that are being neglected. And we're going to stay in the voter security issue. Again, if you go to the current article there, you'll see this detailing of why people need to take these algorithms seriously. But I want to report on a few other things before we wrap up today. In the Middle East, you're getting, again, an intensification of the fighting. And so what is being reported for Israel is that Israel is now conducting a massive offensive in the Gaza, really trying to clean the Gaza out of Hamas. And what the Biden administration is saying is that if Israel doesn't stop pretty soon, the Biden administration is not going to supply munitions. In other words, the Biden administration is trying to dictate Israeli policy in self-defense. Okay, that's going to end up being a real international situation very quickly. Also, Israel is doing airstrikes now in Lebanon and killing people again and hitting municipal buildings and other facilities in Lebanon. And the United States is raising concerns about rising death tolls and fears of a wider regional escalation. Well, it's going to get to be wider regional escalation because Israel is about to attack Iran. And Iran suffered over the weekend a cyber attack on its nuclear facilities and on its government facilities. And I think that's just a prelude to the apocalyptic kind of attack Israel is going to launch on Iran. I think Israel's had it with Iran developing nuclear weapons and the world doing nothing about it. And also in Ukraine, this Zelensky, who I'm considering to be, I consider this guy Zelensky to be a criminal because I'm sure they're doing cocaine. I get reports all the time about Zelensky and his inner circle doing cocaine. They've got enough money to do it. They keep getting another $100 billion, 100 billion here, 100 billion there. Nobody knows where it goes. It's not accounted for. There's no audit trail. And I think the CIA and the U.S. military are keeping Zelensky going because they like the money laundering facility in Ukraine. Certainly the Biden family likes that money laundering facility. At any rate, Zelensky's now got his victory plan. While Ukraine, they're going around to the cities and they're getting conscripts from the privileged few men who have not been put into the military because they paid their way out or they have some kind of elite status. But Zelensky is saying that his victory plan, which he gave to the Ukraine's parliament today, urged his war-weary country to stay united. The Russian troops are advancing in the east. You've got the winter is coming and power shortages loom. But again, he's saying that they have a support from NATO, weapon support, and they have an unconditional invitation to join NATO. And so therefore, he wants to join NATO. He wants to attack further deeper into Russia. And this guy wants to create nuclear war. And so after 2.5 years of war, it's this speech to exhausted Ukraine's public, to a world that's weary of this war, is again just another promise to get more money stolen, more money from the U.S. taxpayer funneled over to Ukraine in a war that could go nuclear. These demons that are running the country right now, and it's not Kamala and it's not Joe Biden. I'm not sure who's running the country, but it isn't these two jokers. The two of them together don't have one mind that's functioning. And the idea that we're going to have Kamala Harris being president is laughable. I think the American people are realizing that. You're going to start seeing the truth coming out that the polls are not showing that Kamala is surging. And that means to me that the Democrats are realizing that it's going to be much harder to steal this election. What are the antidotes to preventing the stealing? Number one is get out and vote in massive numbers. An overwhelming vote for Trump will be hard for the Democrats to steal. And I think the numbers themselves will be impressive and will show that the steal is on. After everything we've demonstrated about these algorithms, it's going to be harder to use them. Where I think they will be used is in the down ballot election. So, for instance, I think people like Sherrod Brown, who's running again for Senate in Ohio, they'll steal his election if he looks like he's going to lose. So the Democrats, I think, are going to turn their focus to the Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and try to steal elections there. The Democrats are going to try to steal elections. The Democratic Party, as I say, is now a treasonous party. And as such, they're going all out to try to destroy America. And they're happy to use voter fraud. They're happy to use election fraud. They're happy to use any kind of fraud they can figure out to destroy America. In terms of the economy, we see constantly the idea that the stock market is being buoyed up. So let's see in terms of whether it's closed yesterday. Stock market is down 65 points yesterday. It was down 324 points yesterday. The stock market they've tried to get it over 43,000 for the Dow Jones. I don't think it's going to stay there very long. I think that Dow Jones, which went from 31,000 to 42,000 in a heartbeat, could lose that money very quickly. So I'm encouraging everybody to take a hard look at Swiss America. What we've done on the website, there's a lot on Swiss America. Certainly get your IRAs and your retirement savings out of the stock market. Okay, so first of all, get this book that's a free book that I've written with Dean Heskin, who is the head of Swiss America. And the book is how the coming global crash will create an historic gold rush. You can call Swiss America at 1-800-519-6268. And that's a way to be able to get this book free. Okay, and what you can see is that we're predicting what's going to happen, which is gold today has been surging. Let me see what it is exactly today. And I know it's been over. It has been over 1,600 for a consistent period of time, and that I think is going to stay over 1,600. Let me just find out the gold price today. Okay, here we go. Gold price $2,679, and gold and silver's at $31.87. That's up a bit from yesterday. And if you had done what we had suggested when we started suggesting it and moved into gold and silver, we were suggesting it when gold was at $1,900 an ounce. You would have made $700 an ounce. Gold is going to get to $4,000 an ounce. It's going to double from where it started in the coming gold, and may go even higher than that. We're going to see a massive crash coming. And the gold rush that's going to result from that as people try to recover losses is going to be massive. The problem with the stock market, and if you've got your IRA or your 401k in mutual funds, most likely they're investing in the stock market. Stock market takes a loss, those mutual funds are going to take a loss. If you work with Swiss America, you create a self-directed IRA. It's on the website. There's a self-directed IRA on the Swiss America website. And what you can do is you can move some or all of your money into a self-directed IRA in gold. You create the self-directed IRA as a plan. You have there's a depository where Swiss America is set up to hold the gold physically or silver in Delaware, and it has a Lloyd's of London guarantee that your gold and silver are safe. There's no taxable event moving out of the stock market into a retirement plan on gold and silver and platinum that is likely to appreciate significantly in the future. So that's another one. Call 1-800-519-6268. Get the free book and talk about moving your IRAs into some secure assets, and do it before the election, because if Trump wins this election, I think you can plan that the resistance is going to kick in again in gear right immediately. And one of the things these demons and the New World Order insanity woke crowd will do is try to tank the global economy and blame it on Donald Trump. Let him start off his presidency with a massive economic problem. I'm sure that's going to be one of their number one strategies. There's also good material here on Swiss America. You can see that there are brochures here on the secret war to against the cash. That's a very good. I just updated that analysis, and so it's a brand new edition of that we just put out. There's also various materials on the economic conditions in general. The Swiss America account is really worth looking at. And Secret War Against Cash is Exposed. That's a very, very good brochure, and it's been, if you just fill out the form on the website, you can get it emailed to you as an ebook. Also, the Walking Liberty half dollar. If you are interested, you can also pick up 250 of these coins. They're about 99.99% silver, at about the price of the value of the silver today. It's a lost leader for Swiss America, but this will get you some silver, and it'd be a good idea to start accumulating silver. The coins you get today are worthless in terms of their metal value. It's like the country. We've gone from having legitimate value to this woke insanity, which is anti-American, anti-God. Okay, and so I'll see if there's anything, just one more quick look here, because I'm also reporting on my book on the energy, global warming, and climate change, which shows that the climate change nonsense is a scam, another scam. And what the EU is realizing is that the ban on gasoline cars from 2035 is no longer realistic. The EVs, the electric vehicle sales, have slowed across the board. The European auto industry sees a massive shrinking if there is such a ban on gasoline vehicles. The car companies will just shut down. So the rules target 55% carbon dioxide emission reductions for new cars and 50% for vans from 2030 to 2034 compared to 2021 levels, as well as 100% emission reductions for both new cars and new vans from 2035. It's ridiculous. Carbon dioxide is plant food. These idiots, these lunatics in the woke movement think that a molecule, carbon dioxide, which is vital to photogenesis and to life on Earth, is somehow noxious. Well, they hate life, so they hate anything regarding life. The Democratic Party has to run on killing babies. They call it a woman's right to choose. Well, this is anti-God, anti-life, and it is disgusting. But the whole carbon nonsense is completely a lunatic science. It isn't even just false science; it's lunatic. It's so bad. And what you do is get the intelligence agencies controlling the media, get the intelligence agencies, paying scientists and paying journals to publish bad reports and bad science. The corruption is just massive everywhere you look. And if we don't return to God, if we don't return to sanity, this country's going to hell. And it'll go there fast under a Kamala Harris regime. I just pray we won't have that happen. Let's wrap up today. This is Dr. Jerome Corsi. This is thetruthcentral.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. In the end, God always wins. God's going to win here too. And what you're going to find is that we'll have a judgment of God. We're going to go through some suffering, difficult times. But at the end, I believe that we will emerge stronger and more united. But it's going to take a repudiation of the evil that we've allowed to descend on our land. And that evil is now at the heart, the evil, dark heart of the Democratic Party. It's Dr. Jerome Corsi. Thank you for joining us in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14. Let's all get on our knees and ask for, let's repent, ask God for forgiveness for letting the country and the world get to this point. We will emerge from this point. God did not create the world and this experience to fail. God did not create this for Satan to win. That's Dr. Jerome Corsi, thetruthcentral.com. Thank you for joining us today. It's Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.